Good afternoon and welcome to Unwins. We're joined by Patrick Wiltshire, our horticultural expert and writer at Unwins. Patrick's here today to tell us a little bit about this special rose. Good afternoon, Patrick.
Good afternoon, Paul. I've come out here today for this Rose Special Mum it's called, and it's perfect for Mother's Day. This here is specially wrapped for you, which makes it a great gift. And what I'll do today is I'll unwrap it and let you know about some of the attributes of this rose. And it comes to you in this deep 3.5 litre pot. And what you'll notice is that it'll have these short stems. Well, these short stems are in a particular framework which makes the growth airy and light. So as it grows, it's got enough oxygen and enough light to get to those flowers and leaves for optimum health as it flowers.
Patrick, if I wanted to put it into my border, or what would I do?
If you wanted to put it into your border, the good thing about a containerised pot is that you can plant it up pretty much any time of the year. So long as the ground isn't fully frozen, these can go into a hole around the same depth as the pot, and you can pop that in. I'd pop it around the sort of middle to the back of the border. The eventual plant will be about 80 centimetres tall. That's roughly about 2.5 foot high. Alternatively, this rose will just as easily go into a pot, a large pot, and that means that you're not restricted to having a large garden. It can go in a pot on a patio, it can go in a pot on a sunny balcony too.
Once it's in the ground, Patrick, or in the pot, is there anything I need to do to it?
Yeah, as far as this framework's concerned, this will give you a good shaped rose plant in its first year. In the autumn time, if you just trim it back to about 1/3 of the tall height, that will just mean that it's stabilised in the winter so that the roots don't get too damaged by the wind in the winter time. Once spring comes along, you want to trim it back to a good framework again so that there's a bud on the outside that can make it a tall and airy plant and not too congested inside the actual shrub itself.
Do you need to use any special stakes or any special feeds, Patrick?
I'll talk about the feeds first, Paul. Roses are hungry plants. They're producing lots of flowers each year. That's taking a lot of energy into the plant, and they're going to need some nutrition from somewhere. Once it gets to about spring or summer, give it a rose feed. Rose feeds are high in potash, which really helps the flowers to come into bloom. Now this is a floribunda rose, which means that it's going to produce many flowers throughout the whole of summer in clusters. So there's going to be lots of flowering going on, and that's why it needs the high potash rose feed. Checking on the weather as the summer and the autumn goes on, it can vary in blustiness and windiness from year to year. You might want to put a stake in there. If you do put a stake in there, put it around 1/2 foot away from the plant, and you can tie that stake loosely with a bit of string, or even with a pair of old tights you can tie that onto the stake, and it just means that the roots are not going to suffer too badly if the wind is particularly bad that year. Once planted, give it a generous soaking, so the initial time that it's in the ground, the roots can establish well and straight away. What you'll notice is that as the summer goes on and it gets warmer, roses are as thirsty as they are hungry. So give it a water every day, sometimes in the morning and sometimes in the evening if it's a particularly dry period.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. I look forward to planting my rose, and I bet you my mum will enjoy that for Mother's Day.
Great.